adjust that. There we go. Okay, thank you. So, let me just start saying, without shame, I'm an MRA, my name is Will Stiles. Thank you for the introduction. You all know who I am. I'm a student. But most of you will have heard about this story already at Plymouth University, where my students' union stated that the Equality Act does not apply to males. I know. And famously used this as justification for denying the creation of a men's forum, a service that would now offer an official voice to male students and their issues for the first time in the UK. This, to my surprise, made the internet go nuts. I honestly didn't think it was that big a deal because, you see, to me this was just another day. It's just another email to my students' union, just another part of this campaign now spanning nearly 2 years, or just over 2 years at this point. But I'm glad it was shared. You see, had it not been, I would never have known just how big the battle I was fighting was, or how important it was to so many people. It was this moment in the campaign that is the inspiration for my message today. Never give up. Cliché, I know, but allow me to explain where it comes from, because that's a vital part of understanding this message. When I first started this campaign, I simply stumbled completely by accident upon what I at the time thought was a slight inequality. We have a women's forum, but no men's forum. At the time, big whoop. I thought, this must be a simple, error. They didn't add it to the list. I'll just go along, have it done in a week. No harm done. Oops. But as we all know, I failed. I didn't rectify it in a week, and not to mention I didn't fail just once. I failed about 4 or 5 times by now. And at first this was really hard to reconcile. It seemed so simple and so obvious that this was fair and just and would do so much good for so many people. And I couldn't understand why they couldn't see that. I couldn't grasp what was preventing them from just helping people. And I was so unprepared initially because I couldn't fathom why anyone would oppose this. What resistance would there be? But as you see, I didn't give up. I had to try harder and smarter. I spent months researching and writing letters, now counted at over 30,000 words, to MPs, representatives, students, and the Students' Union. But even that was not enough. Now, what I'm about to tell you is all true, and I do in the hope of providing context to the daily struggles of this campaign. To never give up is such a meaningless message without context, so let me tell you about some of the times it was hard not to give up. The Men's Forum motion, when first presented, was treated with shock and disdain and sent away to be reconsidered by those elected to serve the students' needs. Who else could I turn to? But remember, never give up. I researched for 3 months and wrote a 4,000-word introduction to some recent male student issues highlighted in the mainstream media. The Men's Forum motion was still denied without sound or clear reason, and, as per policy, could not be discussed again for 2 years. And that would have been the case if I'd given up. I set up an online campaign presence and sought out a campaign team which has since grown in numbers and conviction. The Student Union told me I violated their branding guidelines by using their pink on a male symbol that they'd supposedly somehow already copyrighted despite not having a men's forum. Some digging revealed, of course, they had no branding guidelines or policy at all. Sorry, it's just reliving the drama. The plan was to use this platform to share an online petition to have the motion reheard in less than 2 years. But this was not allowed. Every signature had to be collected by hand. But you can overcome any hurdle if you don't give up. We organised 2 information evenings on men's issues in open discussion format. Yes, we. By this point, this campaign was much bigger than just me. The first was a well-attended, successful, and had rich discussion on key issues with an understanding finally being reached about the true nature of this campaign, not the so-called campus misogyny that representatives kept talking about. The second of these events was quite a story. At 6 p.m, the day before the event, the room booking was removed, and the attendees were all sent emails telling them not to go and that the event had been cancelled. The union staff member later apologised, saying there'd been a communication error, and reinstated the event at 3:30 the day of the event. But where? After all, room bookings can take months to procure in a student campus. The Loud Students' Union Bar, of course. And they told us we couldn't film it as was initially planned to share with other representatives and students. This event was less than a week before the most recent motion was to be heard, and was evidently not as successful. Disheartened, we represented the motion anyway. We could not give up. The union supported the decision to expel me from the Feminist Society after unevidenced claims of online harassment and abuse by committee members. It was a real shame to be expelled from a society I'd spent 2 years supporting and even running at a time. But even more of a shame was to see my union use a kangaroo court system. Clearly their methods of perversion have no limits. What can you do against such a foe? Never give up, that's for sure. The Men's Forum motion was denied again, and a letter was sent to the Women's Inequality Commission to clarify if the Equality Act applied to men. Spoiler alert, it does, quite explicitly actually. How did my union respond? Well, after 3 months, they clarified that they would still be doing nothing. Even when you think you have no avenues left, don't give up. Now, I really could go on and give examples like these for hours, days even. Try me. But I think I've made my point. It's hard. There is no glamour. We met defeat after defeat. For me, that's the most important part when considering this message and hearing it. It's easy to say, don't give up when you've accomplished your dreams and you're sitting pretty with all your troubles behind you. But that's not how it is. There is no victory here, yet. Now comes the important part. Now that you understand this message and its importance, I'm going to come clean. This isn't my message. It's your message. You see, the moment when the internet went nuts over this and I realized how important this was, something else happened. This community opened up and reached out to me. Keep going. Keep up the fight. I'm right behind you. I'm so glad you're doing this. It's about time. Don't give up the fight. How can I help? Don't stop now. Thank you. Never give up. These are real messages from real, ordinary people across the globe, including within this very room. You and men and boys and women and girls shared your stories and offered your support. So your message to me about perseverance is what I'm here to share and channel back to you. Thank you so much for your message. It's for you that I've not given up, and it's for everybody that I will see this campaign through to the end. Thank you.